Hi guys, Bomber here, welcome back to the channel, and in this video I'll be showing you another deck to farm Grandmaster difficulty into single player mode. And today will be a Sofocatro deck, which by the way is my favorite hero, and so this one is my favorite deck, and is the best deck I play to farm Grandmaster or even to play into multiplayer, and the deck name is SOFORUPTION. So, as the name suggests, this deck is based on the card Corruption, which reads draw a card, gain +1 skull, and for each skull gain +1 gold. So with this card we'll be gaining a bunch of gold, and as the Merchant Guild Listrata, another deck I showcased for to farm Grandmaster mode, we'll be converting that gold into bounty, and bounty converts that gold into attacks, and so that's our main win condition. To get a bunch of gold, first of all, thanks to Corruption, we need to generate a bunch of skulls, and so for that purpose the Sofocatro hero power helps, since it reads each turn gain +1 skull, and also we run Intrigue to gain +1 skull each time we play it, and also 2 copies of Masquerade Ball, which adds 2 skulls each time we play it. Since Corruption is a very expensive card, we also run 2 copies of Loan to try and grab it as fast as possible. Also, sometimes we'll be playing Loan in the first turn to grab the Masquerade Ball in the first turn, and so wait 4 turns to the Loan and for the Loan to expire, and then the first turn Masquerade Ball is also a pretty threatening move, and so we'll sometimes do that to try and get our skull pool to be very big since the beginning. And also we run a copy of Sibylline Scroll because sometimes we buy a Corruption but we do not redraw it anymore, and the game ends before we do, and so Sibylline Scroll helps for that purpose to try and grab additional times the Corruption. Or even in the early game the Masquerade Ball or the Cartoon Intrigue. So Sibylline Scroll is a pretty nice card to focus our drawing more and try and grab Vespitole cards instead of coins, which are bad. So, in our first match we are up against Mogesh, and so, as I said, the first card to search for in the early game are the Masquerade Ball and the Cartoon Intrigue. So we actually have a Masquerade Ball into the bank, and we'll try to proc the Wishing Coin to grab it the first turn, but we do not, and so we'll pass. So right now we'll buy the Masquerade Ball and start our skulls generation for the Corruption to be a bigger one, and so win the game faster. We'll also grab another copy of Masquerade Ball, which is always nice. So right now we'll continue generating the skull, and also an alternative win condition, if not the bounty and the Corruption do not show up on the bank, is just to gain a bunch of skull and just kill our opponent with those skulls, by not converting it into gold or anything like that. Just raw skulls to put in our opponent's face and win the game. So probably we'll stick to that plan, since we do not have the Corruption still in our bank, and so we'll grab the Sibylline Scroll to try and get more times the Masquerade Balls and the Cartoon Intrigue. And actually we see that we need only 6 more resources to kill our opponent, but we get a Corruption in the bank, and so probably we'll stick to the main plan of this deck, and so we'll get the Corruption. And we'll wait to play the bounty because it's only 10 damages, and I don't think we can wipe our opponent board, and so we'll pass. Right now we are very close to lethal, and I think it's probably, yes, it's lethal. And so you see, but right now let's do a bit of overkill, and let's see this big bounty in action. And so let's do it. And now you see that even if the bounty is that big, we still have the skulls to try and kill our opponent even more. So it's like the gold and the skulls are all for attacking our opponent. So it's like doubling the attacks we can do. And so let's just finish the match. GG. So, in our second match we are up against Isadora, and so we actually see that she starts with an usury, and so we'll have some troubles to get our economy in the later turns, and so we'll grab the Corruption as fast as possible to try and pace the economy denial of our opponent is trying to do on us. And so we grab also the card Intrigue to grow a bigger pool of skulls, so actually our corruption is much bigger. And so right now we see that our opponent is going pretty aggressive, and so we need to finish the game as fast as possible, as we do not have any recovery at all with this deck, unlike the Listrata Merchant Guild deck. And so we have to, if our opponent is aggressive, we just need to be more aggressive than him. And so we'll play the Loan and grab the Masquerade Ball so that we can grow a much bigger pool of skulls, and we'll pass. Actually, we draw the Corruption, which is very nice, and so we'll first of all play the Corruption so that we can probably redraw it thanks to the card Intrigue draw, and so we'll do that. However, it's very unlikely, and so in fact we do not. And then we'll play the Loan so that we do not reduce our hand count, our coins into our hands, so that each other draw we'll do in this turn we'll have a higher chances to draw Vespitole cards instead of coins, which are bad. And so we'll play the Loan. Actually, we draw a Corruption, which is very nice. So we'll first of all play the Corruption into our bank so that we increase our hand size, and so for the same reasoning I did before, it's better. And then we'll play the second Corruption, and I actually think is lethal, because we'll play all the coins into our hand, play the the bounty, and then finish our opponent with the skull remaining. So GG. So, in our third match we are up against Babbers, and so we see that he starts with Herd of Rats and Starving Mob, which are pretty threatening for our deck, since we want to grow a big amount of skulls so that we can then convert it into gold thanks to Corruption. And so since those cards let us lose our resources, they are very threatening, and so for that reason we will go and play the Loan and also grab the Masquerade Ball so that we can kill them. With this deck, usually we do not want to kill our opponent's stuff, because we want to stock a bunch of skulls and then convert it into Corruption. But since he had such threatening cards into play, we must deal with them. Actually, the War Rat and the Herd of Goats and also the Conjured Argret are not that big of a deal for us, but things that make us lose resources are very, very threatening, and so we need to answer them and kill them as fast as possible. So we'll also grab another Counter Intrigue to increase our deck size and also the skulls we have, to actually try and grab the Corruption and play a big one. Actually, we see that our opponent is becoming pretty threatening, and so we must grab fast the Corruption. Now if we redraw the Loan, we'll be able to play the Corruption, and then we also have the bounty into our deck, into our bank, and so the combo is here. We just need to grab the Loan. And so we do drop the Loan, and then we'll play the Corruption to gain a bunch of skulls. And actually right now we'll try to play our Masquerade Ball to try and redraw a card from our deck, but we do not. That's very, very unlucky. And so right now we see that he has the Starving Mob into play and also the Herds of Rats, but we have a pretty good amount of resources, and so only 2 resources in the next turn, and probably we'll win in the next turn. Instead, if we want to kill them right now, we'll need also to go past the Shepherd's intercept, and so that's 4 resources. And so it's better to not do that right now, as probably in the next turn we'll win right away. And so we'll play the Corruption first, then another Corruption to gain a bunch of gold, and then another Corruption, and that's pretty much GG at this point. We'll play also all the coins in our hand and play a big bounty. And so we actually overkilled it. GG. I usually only do 3 matches per video, but since this is my favorite deck, I'll give you another match to watch. And so, as I said, a very good move in the first turn is getting the Loan and grabbing the Masquerade Ball to try and be very aggressive since the beginning. And also, we'll we'll play a coin, because the loan will make us lose to gold, and grab the Cyberlink Scroll to try and get that Masquerade Ball, but we do not, and so that's fine. So we are trying to be pretty aggressive on the skull gain to try and threaten lethal even without the corruption, even if we have it into our bank, so we can still do that anytime we want. So we'll wait for the loan to expire so that we can redraw it hopefully the next turn. And so right now I'll play the Cyberlink Scroll to try and regrab the loan, and we do. Then we'll play another loan, and first of all play a Masquerade Ball so that our corruption will net us 2 gold more, and then play the corruption so that we can even repay it for the cost we did, and play the Cyberlink Scroll to try and grab a card of Vespitole. Actually I should have played the coin and keep my Cyberlink Scroll into hand so that the next turn I'll have more coins into the hand, and so the Cyberlink Scroll would have more chances to pull a Vespitole card, but that's okay. And so right now we'll play the Masquerade Ball, and we do not throw anything, but we can play another corruption to gain a bunch of gold, and I can't pass since our opponent can play a spy network and kill us, and so we'll play a bounty and try to kill our opponent before he does. And right now he will not be able to kill us for 1 resource only if he does not get one from the Cross Empire. And so he doesn't, so we are actually 1 off lethal. We'll play a Masquerade Ball, a corruption, and we were pretty lucky in this game because we were 1 off only. And so we'll play another Cyberlink Scroll to grab another corruption and play all our coins into our hand, play the bounty, and that's GG. Very lucky this time. So, as you have seen, this deck is very fast, probably the fastest deck which is right now in the game. And SOFORUPTIon has been a staple in this game and the meta since the release of the game, really. And that's why probably is my favorite deck, which I still play to farm Grandmaster, or even when I want to farm quick multiplayer games. And so that's a very good deck to farm Grandmaster mode. So that's it for this video. Hope you liked it and find it useful. Be sure to leave it down below a comment to let me know what you want to see in the next videos, and see ya!